ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the People's Forum of In the Streets with Big Stone. Today, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Stockholm Syndrome or Helsinki Syndrome. Let's go to the books. Let's analyze what is Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome, sometimes erroneously referred to as Helsinki Syndrome, is a condition that causes hostages to develop a psychological alliance with their captors as a survival strategy during captivity. These feelings resulting from a bond formed between captor and captives during intimate time spent together are generally considered irrational in light of the danger or risk endured by the victims. Generally speaking, Stockholm syndromes consist of strong emotional ties that develop between two persons, where one person intermittently harasses, beats, threatens, abuses, or intimidates the other. The FBI's hostage barricade database system shows that roughly 8% of victims show evidence of Stockholm syndrome. Formally named in 1973, when four hostages were taken during a bank robbery in Stockholm, Sweden. Stockholm syndrome is also commonly known as capture bonding. The syndrome's title was developed when the victims of the Stockholm bank robbery defended their captors after being released and would not agree to testify in court against them. Stockholm syndrome significance arises because it is based on a paradox, as captive sentiments for their captors are the opposite of the fear and disdain an onlooker may expect to see as a result of trauma. There are four components that generally lead to the development of Stockholm syndrome. 1. An hostage development of positive feelings towards their captor. 2. No previous hostage-captor relationship. 3. A refusal by hostage to cooperate with the police force and other government authorities. 4. An hostage belief in the humanity of their captor, for the reason that when a victim holds the same values as the aggressor, they cease to be perceived as a threat. Stockholm syndrome is considered a contested illness due to many law enforcement officers' doubt about the legitimacy of the condition. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now seen the video of the little 12-year-old girl that was beaten in Bath, St. Thomas. A lot of people come out against the mother in defense and in condemnation of her action. I personally disagree with her action, and I think she should be punished with leniency according to the law. But ladies and gentlemen, we also heard daughters coming out against the persons who are eating out against their mother. And that is what we see being demonstrated as Stockholm syndrome. All of us suffer from Stockholm syndromes who have been beaten severely by our mother, our father, our grandparents. See, this started way back on the plantation of our slave masters. When we are whipped into submission, we tend to eventually, over time, intend to fall in love with our aggressor. Even in a relationship where two people are involved, a man and a woman, and either becomes the aggressor, you can understand and see how they will defend their attacker. They will even go to court and testify for their attacker and their aggressor and their abuser, and they'll totally disregard anybody else's advice to stay away from that kind of a person. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an illness of the mind. It is an illness of the mind when we can look at somebody who abuses us wantonly, viciously, and we still say give that person or show that person some mercy. Now we're appealing to the government of this country. We need to address quite a few things here, Mr. Prime Minister. We need to address delinquent fathers who are not stepping up to the plate and taking care of their children. The court system, the family court system, should enforce these laws to the fullest extent to hunt down and find these fathers who go out there and make these children and then just leave them up to the mercies of their mother. And of course, we also have cases where mothers who are able to assist fathers in taking care of that child or children, but yet still they just run off with another man and don't give a hoot about their children, which should start enforcing the law. Recently, a little boy was at school in one of these high schools in Jamaica, and as he was walking through the corridor, another young boy bumped him and bumped off his watch. All he simply said to that other young boy was, "Hey, pick up my watch where your bounce off." And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? A misunderstanding. Something happened right there. We don't even understand what causes the initial attack. A knife was brought into play, and that little boy was stabbed to death. Helsinki syndrome, Stockholm syndrome starts at home. And if we do not address this seriously, because there's a lot of children out there. We have seen children thrown away in the garbage. We've seen children with scars that they, the parents, state was administered by someone else other than them. This is a very, very serious problem that we're facing here in Jamaica. And this is something, thank God for the video of that beater, that abuser from St. Thomas. It has brought light to something that has been happening for years. For years. For years. I am an example of Stockholm syndrome because I still love my mother and my father for punishing me, even though I tried my best not to misbehave. Stress, no money, poverty, life's condition, loneliness. These are some of the causes of one person to abuse the other. So, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm not going to be long on this one. I want you to go into your books now, come out with the different laws to enforce deadbeat fathers, deadbeat mothers, enforce to make sure that these people who are responsible for such a heinous act that the world is so appalled about, they're paid either with community service or full commitment to an institution, whether it be a mental institution or otherwise, or they should go to prison for their actions. This is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Children are suffering, children are dying every day as we speak. So let's take this case as a blessing in disguise, a blessing so that we can now address, because social media has its good and its bad. A lot of these things has been happening for years, but because social media did not exist, there was no avenue to highlight the world or the general public of this wicked act that has been placed upon our children. Jamaica, wake up. Let's turn negative into positive, stumbling blocks into stepping stone. Let's move forward and let's help to save our children. Because guess what? Our children are the future. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope that you all can have a wonderful day. Thank you.